presentation of Fox Sports.
We are Baltimore. We are Florida.
Miami's road trip started in San Francisco. And Sunday, Giancarlo's bat sprung to life. 5-4 fish. Monday, back to his roots. He loves LA. A mammoth blast, 3-2 Marlins. Last night, Stanton turned the night and Clayton Kershaw around. Big G's busting out. Tonight, Giancarlo and the Marlins are still in LA.
Another beautiful day in Southern California, and for the Marlins, the sun shining bright on Dodger Stadium. Giancarlo Stanton's personal playground these first two games. Game 3, the Marlins have won the first two, and a big win over Clayton Kershaw last night. Hi, everybody. Rich Waltz along with Preston Wilson. Complete team win last night. Tom Kohler wobbled but straightened out. Bullpen was really good. Everybody getting hits off of Kershaw, and Stanton finished them off.
After a rough start, Kohler did a great job getting the 5 innings. The bullpen did an unbelievable job picking up 4 innings, only giving up 3 hits, no runs. And then what can you say about the big fella? He was the topper on the tree, 3-run home run that made Clayton Kershaw have a meeting with himself on the mound.
We just saw the 3 home runs, 3 homers, 3 wins. Is it coincidence, or when he hits, does everything just fall into place?
Everything clicks because he takes the pressure off everyone. When your superstar plays like a superstar, everyone else's role falls on the line. And it was indicative last night. The top 6 hitters had 9 of the 10 hits, and everything went smoothly from there.
He told us on the postgame show 2 nights ago, this is where he came to watch games, up in the blue seats, up in the far reaches of Dodger Stadium. So to play like he has here is really special to him. Now, pitching in this one, there's some real interesting storylines. First, it's not Jared Cozart. He's been sent to New Orleans. Justin Nicolino, who made his major league debut last year, gets the ball, his first start in the big leagues this year.
Well, Justin Nicolino is back for one reason, to throw strikes and get you deep in the games. And when he's at his best, he's pitches on the corners, he's not overpowering, and he wants bad contact.
Scott Kazmir, a lefty of note, who kind of revived his career over the last couple of seasons, has not pitched well for the Dodgers. He won his first start. Since then, though, he's had trouble with a sore left thumb.
Well, he was the Mets' former #1 prospect, ended up going to Tampa. And like you said, right now he's dealing with an issue with where his left thumb meets his wrist. Hasn't been that effective. In his last 3 starts, he's had almost a 10 ERA. So hopefully the Marlins can continue on that trend and dig a little deeper hole for him.
All right, the Marlins' first 2 nights here. They do love LA, with apologies to Randy Newman. Justin Nicolino gets the start. We talk with his pitching coach. Juan Nieves joins Jessica Blaylock as the Fish and the Dodgers play Game 3.
Fish, Marlins, and Dodgers from Dodger Stadium. Let's go down to Jessica Blaylock. Jess?
Hey, Rich. Well, Justin Nicolino is back with the Marlins and is ready to make his debut for this season. Here is pitching coach Juan Nieves on his expectations for the young lefty.
Well, obviously, we're looking for him having a great game, attacking the strike zone, pitching 9 innings, hopefully under 85 pitches. But, you know, that first start, I think that's very critical, especially early in the game. His experience last year was very good, and I think having that helps this year to challenge the butterflies and the anxiety that a lot of pitchers go through in that first few innings of his first start. But overall, I think the composure is going to be well observed and having a game plan against his team.
He was competing for a spot in the starting rotation during spring training. He's pitched well in New Orleans. What do you think are some of his greatest strengths?
Well, command overall. I think he has great command. He has a four-pitch mix, including a fastball, cutter, two-seam. I mean, he has every fastball available, and of course, spin ability on curveball and changeup. And you know, like lefties, I'm a little biased, but just the ability of him to command the baseball is very important for him, and it gives him so many weapons that I think he can pretty much dissect any hitter that he faces.
Down in AAA, Nicolino made 4 starts. He was 2-2 with an ERA of 3.61. Coming up next, it is Game 3 of a 4-game series between the Dodgers and the Marlins. The Fish have won the first 2. They are looking for their 4th straight win.
And Dodgers ready to go. D. Gordon on his way to home plate. Late night with the Fish as the Marlins have taken the first to a chance to win the series tonight with Game 4 tomorrow night. And here is Gordon at the plate. And Scott Kazmir with a fastball misses outside. Martin Prado. Christian Yelich will follow. Kazmir now 32. And he dots the outside corner for a strike. It's 1-1. Born in Houston, last year actually finished the season pitching for Houston. Started a postseason game for Houston in the division series against Kansas City. And his resurgence over the last few years has earned him a very nice contract, a 3-year, $48 million contract with the Dodgers. Gordon smacks one into right field. That's a base hit. D's aboard. And it's time for Miami's lineup. And it's brought to you by U Health. Preston Wilson.
D. Gordon, Martin Prado, and Christian Yelich are the top three in the middle. Big G hitting cleanup. Marcelo Ozuna's fifth. JT Realmuto is sixth. Chris Johnson is seventh. Adeiny Echeverria is eighth. Justin Nicolino, the new guy, is the pitcher hitting ninth.
Sort of the new guy, you're right.
I mean, he's new old, you know. New this year.
Here's Prado now with Gordon at first and certainly a threat to run. Kazmir, though, a lefty. Last year, base stealers were a perfect 9 of 9 against Kazmir. This year, 1 of 1. So if you do run, you got a good chance of getting there. And Gordon was started that way. Kazmir chases him back with a throw to first.
Some guys, some lefties, when they're so good in the minor leagues and coming up in high school, college, wherever you are, they never have to work on a move because most guys don't hit them. So it takes those guys a lot longer to have a really good move if they're left-handed pitchers. There's very few lefties that have great moves. When they have it, you notice it. Guys like Andy Pettit, those guys really stick out. But most of those lefties, most minor leaguers don't hit them, so they don't have that much traffic on the bases to actually learn to work on it.
Again, Kazmir over to first, and Gordon back in. 12th season in the big leagues for Scott Kazmir, and up until this year, every uniform he wore was an American League uniform. There's a snap throw, and Gordon's back in. So this is his first taste of the National League, and he sure liked it his first start. But as you pointed out, Preston, the last three have not been good. He is gunning for his 100th win tonight. Gordon's not running, and a strike to Prado. And the count's 0-1.
Well, the first key that I look for, I'm seeing from him. I'm seeing him have pretty decent location with the fastball. He's pitching on the edges. He's been 88 to 91. The next thing I want to see is what's his movement look like? Does his ball tail? Does it cut?
There's the slide step, and that's a pretty good illustration of why base stealers don't run more on Kazmir. They're successful when they run, but the slide step keeps them from even attempting to run.
That tells me that when he does do a leg kick, he's got a key. There's something that base runners pick up that they know the difference between when he's going to first and he's going home. See how easily D read that? So now he has to do the slide step to nullify it, to give the base runner something else to look at. But anybody who the success of the percentage of base stealing is that high against him, there's some key, and a lot of people know what that is.
Prado shoots it under Gordon into right field, and Gordon gets to second. Puig's throw all the way to third, just to prove that he could throw from that spot. Preston, remember last night with that play where Christian Yelich went from second to third. Puig alert on this one.
This is a good piece of hitting right here. Prado staying with that ball through the hole. Good job by D not letting that ball hit him. See him cruising there, then he kind of gives a little deke.
He wanted to see Puig's arm.
You never know. You might force a guy to throw one in the stands. I like that. Make them make plays.
Gordon and Puig with a bit of an exchange there. And here's Yelich, one of the hottest hitters in baseball. Yelich has hit in 7 straight. 4 hits in the first 2 games of this series, and a great road trip. Remember the 3 doubles he had in San Francisco? 9 hits on the trip.
Opposing teams, they can't say enough good things about Christian Yelich. Everybody on the Dodgers were speaking so highly of him doing batting practice today.
And a breaking ball misses outside. We addressed it last night. Yelich against lefties has been quite good this year, to the tune of not a lot of at-bats. 6 for 9 is Yelich against left-handed pitchers. And Kazmir throws a strike. Of note, certainly, it's something to keep an eye on. Kazmir, a sore left thumb all the way up into his left wrist. But he assured his manager, Dave Roberts, that he was ready to go. They had a minor leaguer ready to make that start. Roberts sent that minor leaguer out and stuck with Kazmir. And Roberts said today in the Los Angeles Times that, hey, I've got to trust, especially a veteran pitcher, when he tells me he can pitch and he tells me he can make that start. Counts 2-1. Interesting, the infield is shifting a bit towards first base side. I don't know that I've ever seen that for Yelich. Look at Corey Seager. Yelich hit so many balls in that hole to left field between the third baseman and the shortstop. Seager right now is over and almost behind second base. Yelich a liner to right at Puig, who makes the catch. Gordon tags. He's going to test the arm. Here comes the throw. Gordon is in there. He got his hand on the base after he slid over it.
The key to that play was Puig wasn't able to run into the catch. He had to stay back and let the ball come to him because it was hit so hard. It wasn't one of those high arcing fly balls where the outfielder can time it and get momentum running into the throw. Watch him. He has to stay dead in his tracks here. He's on his heels. He can't come forward catching it. That's the difference between safe and out on that play. Oh, and they got a nice little game of cat and mouse going right there. D's letting him know, I'm going to challenge you, big fella.
Well, remember the exchange they had when Gordon bluffed going to third, and Puig actually gave him a smile after that throw as well. Giancarlo Stanton, infield swings around now to the third base side, and Kazmir gets a strike with a fastball. It's 0-1.
If I'm D, I'm telling Justin Turner, hey, watch that tag to the face there, big fella. Hey, you know, you got to keep that thing down around the chest area somewhere. We got to talk about that.
Prado still at first. And Kazmir buzzes in again. It's 1-1.
That take is so important for Giancarlo Stanton. When he's not going well, he swings at pitches way in off the plate because he's not seen it long enough. That's when you know he's locked in.
Boy, Ellis is set up in. Busted bat, liner to left. It's a base hit, and Miami's on the board. And that's a strong man. Stanton drives in his 17th run and his 6th of the series already. Prado's now at second, and it's a 1-0 game. Here comes Marcell Ozuna.
Rich, they're strong, and then they're strong. That's strong right there. That ball's in on his hand, shattered his bat, and he still hit it all the way out to left field. Died a hero.
Now Marcell Ozuna with Stanton the trail runner and Prado at second. The only out of the inning was probably the best ball hit of the inning, and that was the line drive off the bat of Yelich. Ozuna swings and misses. Marcell last night had the only hit against Clayton Kershaw early. That was in the second. It was that high triple in left center field that Carl Crawford had so much trouble with. And the funny thing was, it looked like Kershaw was going to just keep cruising. He had a 3-0 lead. He had struck out 8. The Ozuna hit was the only one, and then he got into that 6th inning, and after 1 out, Miguel Rojas with a pinch hit double, and it was on. 4 more hits later, it was 5-3, and for the first time in his career, of course, Stanton finished it with the home run. The first time in Clayton Kershaw's 9-year career, he gave up 5 consecutive hits.
You can't say enough about just the continued drive of the Marlins lineup last night. They just kept trying, kept pecking away, and finally they broke through.
Ozuna pulls it in the gap. Prado to third. He'll be held. He's going to run right through it. The throw comes home, and Prado is safe. He got the hand under there. A.J. Ellis points to the dugout and says, review that. Lenny Harris, it looked like, had a stop sign up. Prado had a full head of steam and ran through, and we'll take a look.
You know, some teams have these little games they play when you're a third base coach. That hand up isn't always necessarily a stop sign. Sometimes 2 hands is your stop sign. So it's one of those things where it's you go, I may have to stop you late. 2 hands is a full stop. And I think Martin Prado did the right job of keeping everything going until he got the full stop from Lenny Harris right there. I'm not sure what A.J. Ellis was talking about. It looks like Prado was clearly safe there. The tag was late on the top of the helmet.
And so Miami has a 2-run start, and here is Real Muto. Ozuna with an RBI hit. Stanton is at second, Ozuna at first, and Real Muto pops it up into the seats. And here's the defense tonight for the Dodgers behind Scott Kazmir. It's brought to you by Southwest Airlines. Kike Hernandez just had that throw in left. Trace Thompson in center. Yasiel Puig is in right. Turner and Gonzalez on the corners. Seager, Kendrick up the middle, and Ellis behind the plate. Real Muto's been swinging it hot. Off-speed pitch, a little change, and a pop to right. Puig makes the catch, and that's the second out. It brings up Chris Johnson.
First baseman number 12, Chris Johnson.
When you look at this inning so far, it's been either a fly ball or a base hit, and that tells you that Kazmir's up. He's up in the zone. He's got to get down in the zone if he wants to get his team, from falling in too big of a hole right here.
Chris Johnson is pleased that Clayton Kershaw is sitting on the bench right now because he had a real battle last night. You knew he was going to be in the lineup because Johnson faces most lefties, especially the tough ones. Kershaw is as tough as they come. He was 1 for 12 in his career against him, and he struck out 3 times against Kershaw. But he's in there tonight against Kazmir. And he turns on one and fouls it. It's 1-1.
I always looked at it like this. If I was facing a lefty and there's another lefty the next day, if that first lefty I didn't see very well, the odds are I'm going to see this next guy better. And you could tell from Johnson's at-bats last night that he just was not picking up the ball well off Kershaw, and Kershaw made some really good pitches against him. So I think he'll have a better night, or at least some better at-bats against Kazmir tonight.
In the dirt, Ellis, very good defensive catcher, deadened the blow and retrieves it. The count is 2-1. Johnson getting the start at first. Adeiny Echeverria is on deck. 4 hits, 2 runs for Miami. Johnson fouls it back.
Much better swing right there. He stayed on it well, just fouled it off. But the approach and the timing looks a lot better for Johnson against Kazmir.
Don Mattingly, how sweet would it be to come in here and win this series at Dodger Stadium? The 2-2. Well, that pitch is not working, and if you go by the Bible according to Barry Bonds, you eliminate the pitch that he can't throw for a strike.
When it's that bad, as soon as you see it spinning out of his hand, you just pull your foot off the gas. You're not swinging at that. He's got to prove that he can get it at least closer than that before you even respect that pitch.
Counts full, 3-2. Runners on the way. Stanton and Ozuna. There they go. He threw it again, and Johnson swings and misses. So Kazmir gets a strikeout, but Miami gets 2 runs. Stanton and Ozuna drive in 2 in the first. It's time for Dodger baseball. Well, it's the bottom of the first for the Dodgers. Dodgers lineup brought to you by UHealth Sports Medicine and Preston Wilson.
Leading off is Kike Hernandez, right fielder. Yasiel Puig is batting second. Adrian Gonzalez third. Justin Turner in the cleanup spot. Corey Seager fifth. Howie Kendrick sixth. A.J. Ellis is seventh. Trace Thompson, the great-looking athlete, center field, is batting eighth. Scott Kazmir is batting ninth.
And Justin Nicolino, just up from New Orleans. Nicolino didn't have a bad spring training. It's that Adam Conley had a great spring training and beat him out in the rotation. Nicolino went down to New Orleans, made 4 starts, an ERA of under 4, and a 2-2 record. And here he is with 12 big league starts under his belt from last year, and he goes right to work, pounds the strike zone, and is out in front of Kike Hernandez. 0-2. Misses in. Kike can hit lefties. He leads Major League Baseball in batting average against lefties, .553. Change up away. 2-2. Nicolino, a Florida native, Orlando, University High School in Orlando. Juan Nieves, you heard his scouting report right before the ball game, and a gorgeous off-speed pitch. He gets a strikeout of Hernandez.
Right fielder, number 66, Yasiel Puig.
Miami's defense, brought to you by Southwest Airlines. Yelich, Ozuna, Stanton in the outfield. Martin Prado, Chris Johnson on the corners. Adeiny Echeverria, D. Gordon up the middle. JT Realmuto behind the plate. Here is Puig. And for Nicolino, he's going to have to deal with some of the big Los Angeles right-handed bats. Hernandez one, Puig another. Turner deeper in the lineup. And Puig a mighty rip and fouls it back. His only hit in the series, a home run. He's hit 2 of them this year. Echeverria on a scorcher off the bat of Puig. And just like that, there's 2 outs.
Baseman, number 23.
This ball was hit right on the nose, but when you got a great defense behind you, you let the offense hit the ball, good things can happen.
Appropriate music for Adrian Gonzalez, who was raised both in Mexico and in San Diego. Fastball for a strike. Of course, he was a very popular Padre for that. That's where he played his youth baseball. If there was a game across the border, he'd go over with his brother Edgar, and they'd play in the leagues in Mexico. Gonzalez, if you know your Marlins history, you know that he was first overall pick and a Marlin draft pick long ago. But of course, the caveat to that was the Marlins traded him, but the trade that the Marlins made brought a closer from Texas, Uguet Urbina, who was part of that World Championship team, and a very nice part. Out to short, Echeverria on to first. Welcome back to the big leagues. Justin Nicolino goes 1-2-3. is a presenting sponsor of Miami Marlins baseball. Eddie Harrison, all right, look.
Well, that's all about signs right there.
Yep.
That's all about making sure you know what to do when you get in the box. If you're in a situation where you got a bunt, you need to know the signs. And Lenny may even simplify it for him today because it's his first day.
And in many organizations, signs are, you can't have the same signs. You have to have similar signs because once a season starts, teams are constantly changing their signs because of scouting. The breaking ball misses up to Adeiny Echeverria. Scott Kazmir gave up 2 first-inning runs. Echeverria, then Nicolino. D. Gordon to follow. Marlins trying to make it 4 in a row. A chance to win the first 3 of this 4-game set against the Dodgers and continue to play well on the road, which they have done this year. Marlins are 6-4 on the road. And the road teams that they've beaten, the New York Mets, they took 2 of 3 there. They split a 2-gamer in Washington. They've won 2 here against the Dodgers. They won 1 of 3 against San Francisco. Those are all good teams. And so you scratch your head and say, all right, which team is this for Miami? The team that plays well on the road and beats good teams on the road? Or is it the ball club that is scuffled at 2-7, including a series sweep to the Braves? I asked Dave Roberts that very question yesterday, and he said, I think it's the team that's really good. The Marlins at the same time have also been able to beat guys, or at least win games. Syndergaard didn't get the loss, but they beat Scherzer, they beat Kershaw. So the Marlins have been able to get wins in matchups where the other team was favored. Echeverria laces that one to left center. Kike is there, and he makes the catch. Hernandez was way over in the gap when that pitch was delivered. He was giving Echeverria the line in a big way. So a great scouting report, and Echeverria robbed of a hit. We're seeing that more and more in baseball. The dramatic shifts by the infield are fun, and we throw the camera on it, and there's 3 guys on one side. But shifting in the outfield has become much more aggressive.
Well, with the spray charts, it's one of those things where once a guy accumulates enough at bats, you know where he's going to hit the ball if it's in the air, so you shift accordingly and just hope your pitcher hits a spot.
Nicolino swings and misses. And the count's 1-2. 1 for 4 in New Orleans. Now, in the minor leagues, pitchers hit only at the AA and the AAA level, and only when 2 National League affiliates play each other. He swings and misses at a fastball. Kazmir has 2 outs in the second. The MLB.com ballpark app, perfect complement to your visit to Marlins Park. View maps of the ballpark and menus, order food from your seats, and even access and display your game tickets for entry into Marlins Park. Check in with the ballpark app and receive special offers and gifts. Get the MLB.com ballpark app today. Hope you had a chance to see last night's game. Emails and tweets were fun. And of course, the game was spectacular with the Marlins roaring back in the 6th and beating Clayton Kershaw. D. Gordon had a hit in that 6th inning. Rojas, Gordon, Prado, Yelich, and then Stanton's 3-run homer. Look out. D. Gordon smoked that one foul.
Take a look at Scott Kazmir. He's been around a lot. He's on his 7th major league team in 12 years. He's sitting on 99 wins, and he was a high school juggernaut. 4 straight no-nos in his junior year at Cypress Falls High School in Houston.
That scatter report brought to you by Auto Nation. And I think people don't realize the nice career that he's had. He's a 3-time All-Star, twice with the Rays, once with Oakland in 2014. Scott Kazmir has made 2 World Series starts, 8 postseason starts, including that division series game last year, and he has that one slip out of his hand. Remember, he's got the sore thumb. And you wonder if that's bothering him at all, especially on that pitch.
Whenever a pitcher takes that much time after a delivery like that, you saw him really flexing that finger. He felt that. Now, whether that is going to get him a trip from the coaching staff or not soon, we'll have to see.
1-2 to Gordon. Soft line drive back to Kazmir. Miami goes 1-2-3. Second inning, Dodger Stadium, 2-0 Miami. Second. D. Gordon, such a fun player to follow, whether he's in the field, at the plate, or on the bases. First inning, jumped over the ball. Puig has a cannon. Gordon wanted to see it, and did. D enjoyed it, and so did the Marlins bench. Our Cricket Wireless, something to smile about. Jose Fernandez. Puig giving him the thumbs up. Everybody likes to see Puig throw.
I tell you, the only person on the field who didn't appreciate that was Scott Kazmir, because he had to run him back up third because of that throw.
Justin Nicolino into the second. Justin Turner, Corey Seager, and Howie Kendrick for the Dodgers. Turner takes down low. And it's 1-0. Turner off to a bit of a slow start. Sorry about that. Swallowed my tongue. Off to a slow start. Let me try that again. In his power numbers, because Turner last year had 26 doubles and 16 homers. He has not homered. He's got 4 doubles. To right, Stanton patrolling out there. Just shy of the track, makes the catch. And here comes Corey Seager.
Corey Seager.
On his 22nd birthday, Corey Seager in the lineup for the Dodgers.
He's one of the many good-looking young players that the Dodgers have coming up in their organization. #1 prospect, and he's here to stay, I think. Got great hands at shortstop, got some pop in the bat, can hit for average, played well for them in the playoffs last year.
Up the middle into center field. Seager's got a hit. So the Dodgers have their first base runner. This copyrighted telecast is presented by the authority of the Marlins. May not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. The accounts and descriptions of the game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Marlins. Now Kendrick with Seager at first. And Nicolino misses in. Howie Kendrick a slow start. All of his hits this year, 7 of them have been singles. He is a Florida guy too. Jacksonville, St. John's River Community College in Callahan, Florida. That's where he was drafted by the Angels in 2002. Four postseasons with the Angels. And a postseason last year with the Dodgers. Kendrick pulls it. That's a fair ball. Prado has to go across the diamond to get it out, and he does. And he throws out Kendrick. And that brings up A.J. Ellis.
Catcher number 17, A.J. Ellis.
Ellis and Yasmani Grandal, the two catchers that the Dodgers use. Grandal a switch hitter. Ellis a right-handed bat. He, like Grandal, now both these Dodger catchers have this in common. Very good on base percentage. Last year, .355 on base percentage, and this guy chews up pitchers. Only Jason Worth sees more pitches per plate appearance in baseball than Ellis. A little discussion with Todd Titchener, who's behind home plate, Bill Miller, and Pat Hoberg, Brian Knight out on the bases. You see the good numbers for A.J. Ellis. And that misses in. One thing about Justin Nicolino, not afraid to throw in.
It's a very important pitch, especially for a guy who doesn't throw hard. He's got to throw in to keep them from hanging out over the plate, getting that fastball, and staying in there for that changeup as well. He has to pitch in.
Little tapper, Nicolino off the mound, spins and gets the out. And Justin Nicolino with 2 scoreless innings and a 2-0 lead in Los Angeles.
Stadium where the Marlins have a 2-0 lead. Corey Seager in the lineup for Los Angeles, and today is his birthday. The Dodgers shortstop turns 22 years old, making him one of the youngest players in Major League Baseball. There are actually only 2 players who are younger than Seager. That would be Nomar Mazara of the Texas Rangers and Astros shortstop Carlos Carrera. And lots of people also taking the opportunity today to wish Seager a happy birthday on Twitter. That would include the Dodgers themselves and LosAngelesSports.net. So, guys, a very happy birthday to Corey Seager.
Thank you. He's out at short. Another year older, another year wiser. Martin Prado, Scott Kazmir, fastball at 89 miles an hour is a strike. Christian Yelich, Giancarlo Stanton. Marlins getting 4 hits and 2 runs in the first. And Prado with a pop that sends Kendrick onto the outfield grass, and he makes the catch. And Kazmir seems to have settled in after giving up those 4 hits. He has retired 6 in a row.
Well, he's looked fine with his thumb on the fastball and the changeup. The pitch that he has not looked comfortable throwing with that thumb has been the curveball. So I think the Marlins hitters have to really try to, as we said earlier, eliminate that pitch until he shows he can be consistent with it.
Here's Yelich now. Yelich has hit the hardest ball of the night for the Marlins, a liner out to right. That's one of those pitches where it's a check swing, but it also looked like a pretty good pitch. Sometimes it is. Sometimes the home plate umpire is so focused on the swing, he loses track the flight of the pitch. That is a strike. And it's 1-2.
I think the Marlins are essentially facing a 2-pitch pitcher right now, because the thumb does come into play on the curveball. It doesn't really come into play on the fastball or the changeup when you're talking about the grip.
Very nice play. Stanton on deck. Oh, up and in, and Yelich gets it in the shoulder, it looks like. Though that was dangerously close to the head.
Number 27, Giancarlo Stanton.
And when the arm side is the same side as the batter, that ball runs in and chases you. So you're trying to get out of the way, and the ball is tailing into you. He's very fortunate to have that only hit him on the shoulder right there.
You can just see in that one shot how little time you have to react. And when it's at you, very little time to get out of the way. The best you can do is turn away from it, and he did. So here's Stanton, who singled, busted his bat when he singled. Kazmir pitched him inside extensively, and Stanton was still strong enough to pull a ball to left. And that drove in the first run. Ozuna then followed with a hit to left. That drove in the second. Big hole right side. Stanton goes after that side, and he lines it foul. Stanton's doubled the other night to right center field. I believe StatCast had it at 116 miles an hour, which for a ball hit to the gap in right center is unbelievable. He took it, and it's 2-1.
I tell people all the time, I may have the greatest job in the world. I get to stand on the field with Barry Bonds, watching Giancarlo Stanton taking batting practice and seeing Barry Bonds in awe. of big number 27's power. That is a treat.
That one he couldn't lay off, and it's 2-2.
Good pitch, good movement down and away. He starts it off at a good height, so it makes you think it may be a strike, and it just stays out there and fades off the plate. He's going to have to pull his sights a little bit closer to him, though. He's chasing everything out there a little bit too far right now. Sometimes when you go in good, you actually swing yourself into a slump, and it's because you feel so confident that you feel like you can hit anything, but the key to hitting is still getting a good pitch to hit. It took me until my career was over to realize that, Rich.
Well, I'm glad that you came around. You know, the one thing, a lot of managers don't like to have back-to-back lefties in a rotation, but Kazmir and Kershaw are so different that there really isn't any worry in that case. That would be like putting Nicolino and Conley together, or even Chen and Conley together. Changeup missed. Kazmir thought he had it. Stanton took it, and it was in.
It's a very good take.
And a nice call by Todd Titchener, just off the grid. You don't want to be off the grid, Preston.
No.
Whether you're pitching or whether you're missing your tablet or your cell phone.
No, I'm not trying to live that life. I need to be on the grid. I'm definitely not about that life, Rich.
So a hit batter and a walk, and now Ozuna, who pulled a single to left. Pitch him in. Ozuna drives it to left. Hernandez is there, and he makes the catch. So 2 down, and here comes JT Realmuto. One of the best ways to see a game at Marlins Park is in a suite, and you can rent one of those suites for just one game. They've got all-inclusive menus, premium seats, got the VIP hospitality that Preston and I do not get in our broadcast booth. Go figure. Book your group today, 1-877-MARLINS. Go to marlins.com/groups. Realmuto, a fly ball out to right. JT hit a flare yesterday with Derek. Actually, it was 2 nights ago with Derek Dietrich. Remember that? And he dumped one into center field. Last night, a 1-for-3 night. He had an RBI single in that 8th inning. Knocked home Yelich, who's got a good lead at second. And Kazmir goes in. Marlins have 7 hits with runners in scoring position. Kazmir misses away. Last year, Oakland is where he started. Houston is where he ended. He made 31 starts. He was 7-11, but he had the best year of his career ERA-wise. He had a 3.10 ERA, lowest of his career, and he's been an all-star 3 times, not last year though.
I remember seeing a young Scott Kazmir when he came up, throwing 95, 96 miles an hour, electric stuff, had a nasty breaking ball. He's not far off that now. But when he came in, he was one of those guys that just everybody's eyes went big, seeing the talent and the arm that this guy had.
He pitched for some Rays teams that, quite honestly, weren't very good. But he was there when they got good. When Joe Madden turned the whole thing around and got to the World Series and lost to the Phillies. Kazmir made 2 starts in that World Series. That is strike 3 called. And down goes Realmuto. Kazmir pitches out of trouble here in the 3rd. They got some bobbleheads here as well. Tonight, Marlins have a 2-0 start. Bottom of the third. We love LA. We always look for famous people. That would be George Lopez. Arsenio Hall is next to him, but even more famous than those two, Greg Dobbs, the most interesting man in baseball, is here. Dobbs lives about 10 minutes from the ballpark. The beautiful Mrs. Dobbs, 2 seats to his right. So the Dobbers got some primo seats.
Yeah, if you're sitting right behind Arsenio, you got pretty good seats. And George Lopez, my goodness.
Very nice. Trace Thompson.
We didn't even get to the front end. In front of him was Brett Sugarman.
Wow. What are you, Kevin Frazier now? Breaking ball misses outside. You know, the first 2 nights, quite honestly, Preston, very disappointing. We had Mary Hart and who was yesterday? Powers Booth.
Of Red Dawn fame.
Philip Marlowe Private Eye, I'm told. So I think there's a few others tonight. The weather's better. I'll bet if we looked a little harder, we might be able to find a few others.
I mean, let's be honest, Rich. We're not going to get many celebrities on a Monday and Tuesday night. You know, that's their off time. That's their downtime. Get a little closer to the weekend. You know, stars tend to shine a little bit more then.
Trace Thompson, center field. Ozuna ventures in to make the catch. Watching Trace Thompson just in this series, if this is what the Dodgers have, he's going to be a nice player.
Well, they got him from the White Sox and spoke to Dave Roberts about him. Dave Roberts loved him. He loves his athleticism. He loves the way he plays the game. He's got all the tools you could ever want. Just got to find a way to get him some at-bats and get him on the field.
Hey, Jessica, you had a chance to talk to the Splash Brothers' brother. What did you learn about Trace Thompson and the Thompson family? 2 NBAers as kids, as his brothers, and his father, of course, Michael Thompson.
That's right. I learned that Trace does not DVR Golden State Warriors games. He says, I have watched enough basketball for every person in this stadium. So to keep up with his brother Clay and how he's doing on occasion, if it's a playoff game for the Warriors, he will have some of the guys in the clubhouse keep him updated on how it's going. But that's the one thing I was surprised by. I would think that he would want to DVR all those games and watch his brother Clay play, but he says, no, I've watched enough basketball to last me a lifetime.
All right, did he admit who is the best athlete of the 4 in the family?
He did. He claimed that he was the best overall athlete. He says that he beats his brothers in pool and ping pong all the time, so he claimed credit for being the best athlete, but he says that the most accomplished athletically was actually his mother, Julie, who was a volleyball player.
Nicolino off the mound and flips it to first in time to get Kazmir. Trace Thompson. Now, it just illustrates how difficult it is to get to the big leagues, Preston, because his brother Michael got to the NBA. He was a standout at Pepperdine out here up in Malibu, and he played a season or 2, I'm not sure, with the Cavaliers. And obviously Clay was a standout at Washington State and is one of the Splash Brothers for that World Championship Warriors team. Kike Hernandez.
From what I see, he's definitely the best athlete. I can't imagine. You know, I've seen Steph Curry play basketball. I mean, not Steph Curry. I've seen his brother Klay Thompson play basketball. I haven't seen the other Michael Thompson Jr. play, but his athleticism is off the charts. Seen Trace run in the gap to go get a ball the other night. Power on the home run swing. He took a ball that was on the inside part of the plate, got his hand through, shot it in the gap. Seen him run around the bases. He's a tremendously gifted athlete.
1-2. Kike looks at a changeup that misses away. Hernandez, the strikeout in the first, as we told you, he generally eats lefties up. does not start against righties, or many righties. The fastball misses in. Dave Roberts has a lot of options. It's a pretty deep 25-man roster in a very good bench. Fastball's up, and Nicolino with his first walk. It comes with 2 outs here in the third, and it's in front of Yasiel Puig. Well, here is Puig. 25 this year is Puig. He does still make his offseason home in Miami. Two and 0. Justin is a strike thrower, not necessarily a strikeout pitcher, but at his best when he's getting bad contact. Cienfuegos is the hometown. The Elefantes. And all of a sudden it's 3-0, and Nicolino, even though that caught the very periphery of the strike zone, you generally don't get that call when you miss as badly as he did with the first 2 pitches. Let's see what he goes with. 3-0. Puig watches a strike.
Even though you know he was taken all the way, I don't like when batters take a pitch like they're not going to hit it. You might as well take advantage of it and get your rhythm, get your timing, even though you know you're not going to swing.
Good pitch. Got in on the hands. Johnson makes the catch, and Justin Nicolino. 3 scoreless innings. His first start for the Marlins this year. Miami Marlins baseball on Fox Sports Florida is brought to you by Jeep. Visit Jeep.com to learn more. By Bank United. Switch to Bank United today. Visit us at bankunited.com or call 877-779-2265. By your local Toyota dealers. Let's go places. And by Southwest Airlines. Transparency. Low fares, nothing to hide. Dodger Dogs. Preston Wilson crushed, what, 3 of them last night?
2. I had to hold off on the last one.
Yeah, you threw it in your bag, though, on your way back to the hotel. Breaking ball, line to right. Puig is there. Good contact by Chris Johnson. But Scott Kazmir hasn't given up a hit since the 4th hit of that first inning when Miami got their 2 runs. And here is Adeiny Echeverria. Now, Etch is under 200. Remember, he lined out last night, and he lined deep into the gap. And he takes a strike here. We noted Kike Hernandez was way over in the gap in left center. And look how far that, now that's not the baseline, that's a wire. The bottom one is the left field line, and that's how far Hernandez is in that left center gap. There's a good illustration. Look at that. He is, I mean, he's dead even with the dirt cut of second base.
So you see the lines going out to the outfield. About that second or third line that goes all the way out there is pretty much straight away if you go in a line from second base. So he's probably a good 8 to 10 steps in the gap from being straight away.
If you think about it, we see Echeverria a lot. Adeiny is a guy that uses center field and right center. And Trace Thompson is over in right center. 1-2 from Kazmir.
And I want to explain to everybody what straightaway means. When you're an outfielder, if you're playing left field, if you line yourself in a straight line with second base and first base in the outfield, you're playing straightaway left. The same thing from right. If you line yourself up and you're in a direct line with second and third base, you're playing straightaway right field.
So as you can see, Puig is not straightaway right. He's towards the line. And Etch's ground ball finds Adrian Gonzalez. So 2 outs now, and here comes Nicolino.
20, Justin Nicolino.
Marlins and Dodgers playing here. West Coast baseball earlier. The Giants surging over 500 now. Outlasted the Chargers 13-9. Giants missed an extra point, but 13-9. The ball really was flying at AT&T Park. Nicolino takes a strike. In the National League East, the Phillies shut out the Nationals. We've got Scott Kazmir on the mound here, a former Ray. And Jeremy Hellickson, former Ray, a right-hander, struck out 8 over 7 innings. And the Phillies held the Nationals to just 2 hits and won at 3-0. Atlanta lost again in Boston, 9-4. The Braves are 4-17, and painfully for the Marlins, 3 of the 4 wins came at the Marlins' expense. Boy, a lot of day baseball today. Mets won. They beat the Reds 5-2. Mets are 13-7. Tomorrow, Craig Minervini and Carl Pavano are back in studio. Jose against Kenta Maeda. 1-2-3. Go the Fish in the 4th. Good duel here. Kazmir and Nicolino. Baseball is brought to you by Jeep, by Checkers, and by your South Florida BMW dealers. 2-0 Marlins on top, bottom 4. There are some clouds around Los Angeles. Strikeouts per 9 innings. Jose Fernandez is one of the leaders. Noah Syndergaard leads in the National League. So Jose goes for Miami tomorrow night. He and Bonds going at it. Kenta Maeda to the left of Clayton Kershaw is the ERA leader in the National League. Yes, better than Arrieta, better than Hamill. And they meet tomorrow night. Marlins Live starts it at 9:30.
Do I have something crazy in my eye? Was his ERA .037?
No, your eyes are good. I believe he's given up just 1 run in 25 or excuse me, 25 and a third innings.
I was just asking because that's ridiculous. 0.37.
Yeah, Maeda, only the third pitcher since 1900 to go 25 innings, his first 4 starts, and allow no more than 1 run.
Oh, I'm sorry, I added 0.36. I added a little bit onto his ERA.
Well, there was something in your eye there.
Yeah. Good mercy.
Adrian Gonzalez, Justin Turner, Corey Seager, 4th inning. Justin Nicolino started the inning with 45 pitches. His 4th pitch of the at-bat, and he steps off. Of course, a Toronto Blue Jay draft pick, 2nd round pick in 2010 out of University High School in Orlando. It just had a spectacular ride through the minor leagues, both with the Blue Jays and then the Marlins, once the Marlins acquired him as part of that large trade between 2011 and 2012, or excuse me, between 2012 2013. 2-2 in the dirt. Not what you'd expect from Nicolino, who's known as a strike thrower. And he walks Adrian Gonzalez.
Number 10, Justin Turner.
If you can't catch the Marlins on TV, you can now stream live on your mobile device on Fox Sports Go. Go to the App Store, download the free app, Fox Sports Go. Log in, stream the Marlins wherever you are. How many devices do you have, Preston Wilson?
Oh, I have the phone. I have the tablet. Yeah, I got them all. I got the computer, phone, tablet, you name it.
You have 2 phones, right? One for watching baseball, one for making phone calls.
Yeah, you got to have it. You got to have your different devices to watch stuff on, man.
Justin Turner pleading with Todd Titchener on that pitch. That's a pretty healthy strike there. He may have been telling Todd Titchener, did you know that there's a big promotion this weekend for the Dodgers? It's Justin Turner, Chia Pet night. See, look, on your screen, go to your left, see it on the backstop there? See the Justin Turner Chia Pet? And there it is. There, you got to get the Chia part in there. So that is this weekend, Saturday.
What will they think of next, Rich?
He's a walking Chia Pet is what he is.
He does have some moss growing on that chin.
Leadoff walk to Adrian Gonzalez. Turner awaits a 1-2. Drills it. But Yelich is there. And he makes the catch. So an out here in the 4th. And Corey Seager comes to the plate. By the way, last night, One of the cool things about our show last night was all the Vin Scully stuff. And about 15 minutes before we went on the air, Vin Scully came over to our booth to say hello, exchange pleasantries, and relay a story about you, Preston Wilson. Here's Corey Seager. Now, who was the scout or who was the executive that he said gave the scouting report?
It was John Bowles, who actually used to be my manager with the Marlins, and he came over to the Dodgers after he left there.
Yeah, so he said John Bowles once told him that the scouting report on you, he said the ceiling for Preston Wilson was as high as the Sistine Chapel.
You know, that's an incredible compliment coming from John Bowles, a great baseball man. And then to have that come out of Ben Scully's mouth, that's a memory I'm going to take with me for a long time. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's really cool.
And he's right next door. He's right there.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, if we pound on the wall and say, hey, yo, Vinny. Well, we ought to get Boyd over here, too. Now, remember, Boyd Robertson was the gentleman we introduced last night on the show. And we had a couple of emailers and tweeters want to know who is the guy next to Vin who hands him cards and makes sure everything is in proper order. That guy is Boyd Robertson. He's had an incredible career in television. He was next to one of the great voices of NBA basketball, Chick Hearn.
Wow.
He was Chick Hearn's right-hand man for many, many years, and then switched over to baseball, and he's been next to Vin Scully for a long, long time as well. Center field, Ozuna at the track, and just shy of the wall makes the catch. Corey Seager. That ball, long fly ball.
That ball was very well hit. It shows you how when you're in Dodger Stadium and the night comes in and the air starts to get heavy, that moist air coming off the ocean, the ball doesn't carry nearly as well as it does in the daytime. Corey Seager hit this ball very well. He didn't get this ball in quite where he wanted to. It drifts out over the plate. He puts a good swing on it. But Ozuna was able to corral it out there in center field. But that ball was well hit.
Here is Howie Kendrick. Kendrick 0 for 1. Now, the emailer wanted to know how come we didn't have somebody handing us cards, and I handed a card to you. And I asked earlier tonight, we can afford Boyd for maybe an inning.
Okay.
That's our budget. He commands a hefty fee.
But does that mean I have to walk back to the hotel? Does that come out of my end of it?
Yes. Sorry. It's all part of being a good teammate.
You know what? I am a team player, if nothing else.
Ball and a strike. Kendrick shoots one. Johnson has it. And Justin Nicolino has looked sharp in his 4 innings. Nicolino has kept the Dodgers off the board and hung on to a 2-0 lead. A Wednesday night showdown presented by La Lechonera in Los Angeles, City of Angels. Marlins and Dodgers. Late night with the fish is upon us, kids. And glad you're with us tonight. It's been a fun series so far. Marlins have taken the first two and a chance to secure a series win. Remember, there's a fourth game tomorrow night. And it's the top of the order. Scott Kazmir, fresh off signing a new 3-year contract for $48 million. And he's making start number 5 in his Dodger career. Gordon 1 for 2. Kendrick, a little stumble, and he just got Gordon. Out number 1 here in the 5th. Geico presents a Marlins moment. Oh yeah, this was the ball game where the Marlins scored 5 in the bottom of the 9th to force extra innings. It's one of the first stories that Tommy Hutton told me when I got here in 2005. Everybody was ready to go. I believe the team was flying to Arizona, and everybody was ready to go until the Marlins scored 5, and then they played 20 innings. And then ended up getting into Arizona really, not late, but early the next day. So getaway days can be problematic. Here's Prado. Actually, the Marlins getaway day tomorrow is problematic because the Dodgers are playing a night game, and the Marlins are playing the next night in Milwaukee. Prado dumps it into right center field. That's a base hit. And I know a lot of people say, well, look, these guys get a lot of money to play a simple game. Don't whine about the travel. But the Marlins won't land in Milwaukee till 6 a.m. on Friday morning. And normally if you go from the West Coast to East Coast, by rule, you have to have an afternoon game or an off day. The Marlins have neither because they're not going to the Eastern time zone. Milwaukee, the top of the country, and in the Central time zone. And it's in the 40s, but they have a roof, so let's hope it warms up, and we'll be with you Friday night with bells on. Yes, for reals. Bells on and probably a lot of Red Bull with 5-hour energy. A strike to Yelich, who continues to swing it well. He lined to right, hit a seed that Puig caught. And then Kazmir came up and in and clipped Yelich in that right shoulder in a scary moment. One and two. But the cool thing about tomorrow night is the pitching matchup with Jose and Kenta Maeda. Two and two.
It's going to be a lot of fun watching those two. I got a feeling Jose is going to come out with some fire tomorrow, knowing that he's facing one of the top pitchers in the game. He's still chewing Barry Bonds' ear off.
Yelich up the middle. Little hesitation by Kendrick, and that's going to cost the Dodgers a double play. Howie Kendrick couldn't get it out of his glove right away, and Yelich with his good speed beats it.
Kendrick's having a little trouble all night with the transfer on the ground ball that D. Gordon hit. He didn't get it out cleanly, and right there, the same thing. He doesn't quite get it out cleanly, and it cost him a chance at a double play. That's a tailor-made double play. Ground ball to the second baseman. You got to be able to turn that over, but Kendrick cannot get that out cleanly.
All right, here is Stanton now, and that's the hard part for Kazmir. Instead of a double play, he's got to face Stanton. And we've seen on this road trip where a defensive miscue or an out that was supposed to be recorded in front of this man can blow up in a hurry. Giancarlo takes in. He walked in the third, RBI single in the first. He came in with a fastball on 2-0. It's almost like if you're Giancarlo, you don't expect to see a fastball.
Might have been a little bit of a cut fastball, only 87 miles an hour. That's when you see the cutter from Kazmir. So I think he was trying to tie him up a little bit right there. Same pitch, came back with it.
Two and two to Stanton with 2 outs in the 5th. And he got him on a changeup. So after 2 runs in the first inning, Scott Kazmir has been tough, but Miami leads it 2-0. Jeep is a presenting sponsor of Miami Marlins baseball. Palm trees and darkness. But of course, that's just the parking lot of Dodger Stadium. They've got the gas station out there. Little Dodger blue bow. Like it. Like the look.
Oh, what a cutie. Look at that.
Justin Nicolino now. That one fouled back to the screen, and it's 0-1. A.J. Ellis, Trace Thompson, and Scott Kazmir. The Dodgers sit atop the West at 12-9, but you've got Arizona and San Francisco behind them. Of course, Arizona, splashy offseason. Zach Greinke wants some money. They're losing to St. Louis 7-3 in the 6th. We told you the Giants have won. So the Giants are 12-11. They're a game back of the Dodgers. The Rockies are 9-11. Rockies have played a little better, I think, than people expected. Trevor Story is homered again. 9 home runs this month for the rookie shortstop for Colorado. The Padres are really scuffling. They've lost 5 in a row now, and they are 7-15.
Those 9 home runs for Trevor Story break Albert Pujols' rookie record that he held back in 2001.
For home runs in April.
And yes, exactly.
Echeverria on a broken bat gets the outs. And the focus on Justin Nicolino right now. Preston, for you, what have you seen? What have you liked?
I've seen that he has the ability that even though he's throwing 90 to 91 miles an hour to get in on guys, he's pitching around the zone and he's not staying in the middle of the plate. And when you're a guy like him and you pitch the contact with that good defense behind you and you're playing in a big ballpark that the ball doesn't necessarily carry in, you can have success. And he's doing a good job of that tonight.
Strikeout, 5 ground outs, 4 fly ball outs. He struck Kike Hernandez out to start the game.
He'll be the first one to tell you he doesn't want strikeouts. He wants quick outs. He wants weak contact. He wants to get those batters in and out of the batter box quickly and make them hit his pitch.
You know, the funny thing, when Jessica was talking to Juan Nieves about what he was expecting tonight from Nicolino, Juan said, well, 9 innings, 85 pitches, and a win. His pitch count is pretty good. I mean, this will be number 70. His breaking ball misses outside to Trace Thompson. The Nationals got slowed down by the Phillies, 3-0. For Washington, only their 6th loss. That would mean that 3 of their 6 losses, half of their losses, are to the Marlins.
You know, we're talking about Juan Nieves. I think as the season goes along, we're going to be talking more about the philosophy that Mattingly and Nieves has brought in, where the value is on throwing strikes and having efficiency as opposed to velocity. They put that in trend by sending Ellington and Barraclough down out of spring training.
Well, and I think the fact that Nicolino is here pitching instead of Jared Cozart, Mattingly said it the other night. He quickly pointed out the number of base runners that Cozart has had in the starts that he's made. Good battle by Thompson. And that's right on the glove, but Realmuto was set up in. It's 2-2.
They have impressed upon this staff that it is imperative to throw strikes. If you don't throw strikes, you're going to have a hard time staying on this roster.
Preston, you spend a lot of time at MLB Network and seeing a lot of games. Do you like the matte helmets that are popping up around baseball? The Dodgers have it with the raised letters. Those LA is kind of raised.
I like it when it evolves a little bit. That's a nice look. You know, a lot of guys used to put a lot of pine tar over the helmets anyway, so this matte look makes everything look a little bit more uniform.
A little neater?
Yeah, it does. You know, you saw guys who had the pine tar all over the helmet. You couldn't see the logo. You know what I mean? That's a little bit too much. I like this look.
I have not seen a pitcher this year with the new protective caps. Two hops for Echeverria. And a couple of ground balls to short. Justin Nicolino in 4 starts in New Orleans. That is a hitters league in the Pacific Coast League for the most part. We were talking about his rise through the minor leagues. Look at the very bottom. His minor league season, 6 of them split between the Toronto organization and the Marlins organization. That's pretty nice, a 2.84 ERA. Kazmir and Nicolino. The two lefties meet here. Both runs Miami scored were first inning runs. RBI singles by Giancarlo Stanton and Marcell Ozuna.
For such a young guy, he fits the true definition of a pitcher. He works both sides of the plate. He changes speeds. He uses all of his pitches. He is a pitcher for a guy to be so young.
Oh, it's a great pitch there. At the knees and on the corner. And it's 1-2.
right at the bottom of the strike zone, right on the edge of the strike zone.
And Kazmir trying to bunt, fouls it off. His taste of the National League. And it's Justin Nicolino, and the Marlins up 2-0.
Love of the game. It's for the love of the game. For the love of the game. When I'm on the court, swoosh the ball. When I'm on the track, passing all of y'all. When I'm in the car, I move too fast. Foot through the pedal, I'm mashing that gas. Watch me swerve side to side. Whoever said I'd lose, lie. Thought you knew, thought you'd know. Players, that's just how we roll. You are cold, I am hot. I just have what you do not. I'm in the lights, I'm in that spot. Go drive your boat while I ride my yacht. Don't get it twisted.
Such a unique spot is Dodger Stadium, right in downtown Los Angeles. Well, actually, it's up the hill, Chavez Ravine. Late night with the Fish tonight. Preston Wilson, Jessica Blaylock with us.
I gotta say, Rich, in those pictures, we look a lot happier about working with you than you look about working with us. You're like kind of like, eh.
Oh, wait a minute. Can we get that back up? 2-0, Marlins on top. What are you trying to say, Press?
Look at me and Jessica. We're all excited about working with you. And you're like, yeah, I'll take them. Yeah.
You know, Press, that was a picture that was taken like 5 years ago. I am. Before I had my hair weave and my eyes done, my teeth replaced. So I don't know what I was thinking at that point, but it wasn't,
Rich, you're one procedure away from being a Kardashian.
Here is Ozuna. Easy there. Here is Ozuna with JT Realmuto and Chris Johnson against Scott Kazmir. And a strike. Ozuna has had some good swings. The RBI single in the first, and he lined to left. They pitched Ozuna in his first two at-bats. Ellis has been out in this one. Marcel has that great bat speed, able to get in on the cutters, but not that time. A breaking ball that dips out of the zone and away from the bat. So one out here in the sixth. Season tickets start at just $6 a game. Half-season plans and 3 great 20-game mini plans as well. All season tickets include entry into the Fish Family Loyalty Program and guarantee access to the 2017 All-Star Game at Marlins Park. Go to marlins.com/season tickets. Kazmir floats in a breaking ball, a strike to Realmuto. Well, this is the guy the Dodgers were hoping for when they signed him to that 3-year contract for a lot of money.
Well, he looks good, but he's essentially a 2-pitch pitcher right now. We haven't seen many breaking balls, and he's been making good pitches, but I don't know if the Marlins hitters have made that effort to understand that he's only throwing 2 pitches right now.
Fastball line to right, and a nice road trip for Real Muto continues. JT's hit in 4 straight, and he is 8 for his last 14.
Chris Johnson.
And here comes Chris Johnson.
Kazmir came into this inning having already thrown 93 pitches. I wonder exactly how long is that leash going to be, especially if he ends up getting a man in scoring position this inning.
Well, the Dodger bullpen's not throwing, but there's a lot of relievers looking towards their dugout, waiting for that signal to get up and get loose. Johnson takes away. Chris Johnson arrived in Marlins camp with the reputation of hitting well against lefties, and in his career, a slash line against lefties, .314 average, .350 on base, .436 slugging percentage.
Guys moving around there in the bullpen a little bit. Blanton was up and throwing last inning, so they do have somebody that's a little warm already.
Ball and a strike. You know, a couple of times, like the first pitch to Johnson, we've seen Kazmir get the ball back from the catcher and walk around behind the mound, almost like he's buying time. Johnson hits that shallow center. Thompson went back and now comes in, and it falls for a base hit. Trace Thompson may be fooled by the swing. He went back, and that one ends up way in front of him.
He just got fooled on this. He broke back hard. The only thing he didn't do was wait to see the speed of the ball off the bat. When you're already playing that deep, you don't have to break back hard that quickly, because if you got to break back that hard that quickly when you're playing that deep, the ball's going to go out of the ballpark. You got to freeze and sit right there and really also hear that sound. That wasn't that good crisp sound off the bat. That sound will let you know that it was off the end of the bat, and he would have been able to make that play if he had just frozen and not gone straight back originally.
All right, Dodger bullpen is active. And here's Echeverria. Now remember, it's Nicolino who is on deck. Adam Liberatore, the lefty, in the Dodger bullpen. And Nicolino is on deck right now. We'll see how the inning progresses. 1 out. And as Preston pointed out, the pitch count now over 100. Really good ball strike ratio for Kazmir as well. 104 pitches, just 35 balls.
Well, Rich, I spoke about it from the hitter side, but from a pitcher side, when you don't have one of your pitches, this is what veteran pitchers do. They make pitches with what they have. He's incorporated a cutter a little bit more. That gives him somewhat of a breaking ball. He's been able to really spot his fastball and use his changeup, maybe where he would use that curveball more.
See Rick Honeycutt behind Bob Guerin. The 2-0 pitch. And a swing and a miss. Echeverria with a rip at a 2-0 pitch. Now, Dave Roberts is a new manager. Bob Guerin, a new bench coach. Turner Ward, new hitting coach. But the Dodgers did not change their pitching coach. Rick Honeycutt has had a lot of success here in his 11th year as the Dodger pitching coach. Two and two. And a guy that had a terrific major league career, 21 seasons, 2-time All-Star, and part of that pioneering Oakland bullpen. He was kind of the setup man for Eck. Went back to the screen. And it's 2 and 2.
This is one of those ballparks you come to and you just marvel at the number of great players they've had here. There's a hallway that you walk down and they have all of their gold gloves listed in the hallway. They have all of the MVPs listed in the hallway, and it's really a sight to see. It reminds me of Monument Park in Yankee Stadium, but you see Jackie Robinson's Rookie of the Year. You see Fernando Valenzuela, Rookie of the Year. Don Newcomb. You see Roy Campanella, all the gold gloves, all the Cy Youngs, they're all in one hallway, and it's just tremendous.
Yeah, look, the Dodger history, if you want to go back to Brooklyn Dodger history, Pee Wee Reese, Duke Snider. And then you go to Los Angeles when the Dodgers were rolling in the 60s and the 70s. Sandy Koufax, Ian Drysdale. Obviously Jackie Robinson back in the Brooklyn days. Oral Hershiser was on the field today. That one popped back. Echeverria hanging in there. Walter Alston and Tommy Lasorda, probably the greatest Dodger managers in Los Angeles.
Walter Alston, one of the great nicknames, the Big Train.
That was Walter Johnson, though.
That was Walter Johnson?
Yes.
Oh, man.
Yes.
Thought I had some trivia on you, Rich.
He was, Walter Alston was the commuter train, I think. That one missed in. And it's 3-2. You're right, though, that one hallway with all the awards and all of the history, the World Series history, World Series trophies.
All the gold gloves.
Let's see if the runners move. They don't. And Etch pulls one. Now, that would have been trouble for Kike Hernandez. Remember, the first two at-bats, Hernandez, the left fielder for the Dodgers, has been way over in left center field. In fact, he robbed Echeverria of extra bases when he ventured almost into center field to make the catch. And the line drive. Bouncer out towards second. Kendrick. And Seager's turn is a good one. And Scott Kazmir ends the Marlins in the 6th with a double play ball. Stadium, that imposing, first time you're ever in this ballpark, and for Justin Nicolino, this is his first time in this ballpark. You look up from the mound at 9 levels of seats, and it can be impressive and imposing. So far, he's handled it, though. The Marlins have a 2-0 lead. You can bring your group to Marlins Park. Family, neighbors, people at your office. Call the Marlins Group sales team. Make your group reservation 1-877-MARLINS or go to marlins.com/groups today. Nicolino now in the sixth, bottom of. Gets the top of the order. Third time through for Kike Hernandez, Yasiel Puig, and Adrian Gonzalez. The Dodgers have just one hit, the Seager single back in the second. And this is exactly what the Marlins were hopeful out of Nicolino. Pitching to contact, efficient. He has struck out 2, he's walked 2. But he's 3-0 against the Dodgers leadoff man. Enrique Hernandez, or Kike as he's known. To right, it's pretty well hit. Stanton has room, and Giancarlo makes the catch. And so one out here in the sixth. And here comes Yasiel Puig. There haven't been a lot of balls that have really been scorched against Nicolino.
He's one of those guys that guys just don't tend to square up that much. He's got a little late movement, pitches on the edges, and changes speeds really well.
Busted bat. Echeverria. 2 down.
First baseman, Adrian Gonzalez.
And here is Adrian Gonzalez. Gonzalez bounced out in the first, walked in the fourth. Jose Fernandez, Kenta Maeda. Tomorrow night to finish the series here in Los Angeles. Marlins trying to capture this game, and they would clinch a win. And you know, one thing to think about too as you get later in this ball game is what shape is the Marlins bullpen in. Right now their starting shape is great. 8 pitches for Nicolino in the sixth. Don Mattingly has to be thrilled with that. It's 2-0 Marlins. Has bought Justin Nicolino another shot at the Dodgers. So Nicolino is going to lead off here in the seventh. Late night with the Fish. Marlins and Dodgers, glad you're with us tonight. The Dodgers have just one hit. Nicolino's first start of the season for the Marlins. He made 4 starts in AAA. Adam Liberatore does come in for the Dodgers. And so Scott Kazmir's night is over. Kazmir, after giving up 2 runs in the first, was pretty darn impressive for the next 5 innings. Kazmir would strike out 6. He walked 1 and gave up 7 hits. Rick Honeycutt, Dave Roberts going over not only the bullpen options, but also the Marlins lineup. Once Nicolino clears, it's Gordon, Prado, and Yelich. And a fastball misses down low from Liberatore. So it's still lefties out there from Kazmir to Liberatore. And Nicolino sprays a ground ball in the hole. It's short. Seager's throw out at first.
That's a great play by Seager. And Nicolino, sorry, that might be a hit in AAA, but in the big leagues, you're walking back to the dugout. Happy birthday, boy. At the shortstop, Seager makes a great play on the run, off balance, strong throw, and he hits Adrian Gonzalez right on the money.
Nicolino does have a hit in his major league career, but he is now 1 for 28. And the nice thing is he's the first hitter of the inning, so he has a chance to get back to the dugout, catch his breath, and get ready for the bottom of the 7th. Here's D. Gordon. And Gordon takes a strike. Gordon has singled, lined out, bounced out. Did he pull back in time? And apparently he did. Not a swing. That was close. Because he was trying to pull the bat back and scoot out of the way. This time Trace Thompson is under it, and he makes the catch. 2 outs in the 7th, and here comes Martin Prado. Marlins are in Milwaukee on Friday night. A 3-game series against the Brewers, and then it's home. The Marlins will send Adam Conley, Wayne Chen, and Tom Kohler at the Brewers Friday night, Saturday night, and Sunday afternoon. Martin Prado for the Fish. And then the homestand will start on a Tuesday night. Marlins have the Diamondbacks, the Phillies, and then the Brewers come in. Nationals, Rays, and Pirates will round out the home opponents in the month of May. The Marlins making a road trip to see the Nationals. Second trip already to D.C. The Phillies, couple games in St. Pete against the Rays, and then 3 in Atlanta. 2-0 pitch. And it's fouled up into the seats. Two-one coming. Prado's ground ball finds right field, and that gets Yelich to the plate. You know, very quietly, Martin Prado has put together a really nice start to his season. He had the great finish to last year. You know, the last couple of months, Prado, actually last 32 games, he hit .353. And Prado with 3 hits tonight. He has his average up around .355. Actually up a little over 360 now. Now Yelich. With Stanton on deck and 2 outs, Liberatore in relief of Kazmir. A ball and a strike. Yelich hit by a pitch. His lined out, reached on a fielder's choice. His on-base percentage opened at an even .500. Best in the National League. That one backs him off the plate. It's 2-1.
He's got such great plate discipline for such a young hitter. And his swing is great too. He's in such a good spot. He looks so comfortable at the plate. And day in and day out, you see the same swing, and it's producing great results.
He does have a 7-game hit streak, which he's not extended tonight. Fox Vision, remember the toy we had in pregame? What does this illustrate to you?
Look how long his bat stays on that plane through the zone. That means he's going to make contact, solid contact on that pitch, no matter if there's a change in velocity. If it's a little harder, he's going to catch it deep in the zone. If it's a little softer, he's going to catch it a little out front, but it's still going to be squared up because the bat path is on plane for that long.
In his career, Christian Yelich has popped out to the infield once. That's incredible.
That's incredible. That's a great stat that it's hard to actually believe.
Pitch is in. I read that this offseason on Fangraphs, Jeff Sullivan's article. He's got about, 1,500 career plate appearances. Three-two pitch, little chopper over the mound. Seager charges, gloves, and just gets him by a hair. And the Marlins are done in the 7th. Justin Nicolino will try to keep the shutout as Miami leads the Dodgers 2-0.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for the 7th inning stretch.
Two to nothing in the 7th inning. The Marlins bullpen still awaiting the return of Mike Dunn and Edwin Jackson. As far as Dunn goes, he will begin his throwing program tomorrow. If that goes well and there's no pull in that left forearm strain, he will play in a couple of rehabilitation games before returning to the bullpen. Best case scenario for Mike Dunn, he will be back within the next 30 days. As far as Edwin Jackson, he began throwing earlier this week. That has gone well. That right tricep strain is feeling feeling better, so we could also see Jackson back within the next few weeks. Guys?
All right, thank you, Jessica. And the bullpen certainly is of concern. You see the Marlins ERA out of the pen, right around 3. National League leader is Washington, the Fish third. But the problem tonight is availability. A.J. Ramos has worked 3 in a row. He saved 3 games in a row. Kyle Barraclough has worked 3 in a row. And so you may see, depending on how it shakes out, if the Marlins have an opportunity and if those guys can't go, you might see David Phelps trying to save a game tonight. Nicolino to Turner into center field. That's a base hit. And the Dodgers have just their second hit of the night, and that opens the bottom of the 7th.
Shortstop number 5, Corey Seager.
Corey Seager now. A visit from Real Muto. And he may be out there trying to buy some time for Miami's bullpen, although it looked like everybody's warm and ready to go. There's your 2 hits right in the middle. Turner just got one. Seager had one in the second. Crowd of, I would think, about 40,000. And a pitch misses down low to Seager. So Morris is ready. You've got Kendrick and then Ellis after that. But the Dodger bench has plenty of left-handed bats ready. Carl Crawford, Chase Utley, Jock Peterson. To left, Yelich up in the lights. He used to sit up around those lights when he was a kid. Now he has to look into those lights, and you can see it, the reaction after making the catch. I mean, they say about minor leaguers when they come up to pitch in the big leagues, they have to get ready to pitch and be accustomed to pitching in a ballpark that has a second deck to it. Well, more and more minor leagues, they don't have the enormous second decks, but they're starting to get them. You come to Los Angeles, and you have to be ready to pitch in front of like 5 decks. And the upper reaches behind home plate. Kendrick back to Nicolino. Fires to second. Got one there. Gordon's turn is in time. Justin Nicolino. A 2-hit shutout through 7. And the Marlins are beating the Dodgers in Los Angeles tonight. First start of the year in the big leagues for Nicolino. And he has been splendid. In the 8th, La Lechonera game summary. Marlins in the first. Giancarlo Stanton, a broken bat single. Marlins would get 4 hits against Scott Kazmir. There's the 4th, and that knocked home Martin Prado. Close play at the plate. Got the hand just under the tag of A.J. Ellis. And after that, it has been a lot of Justin Nicolino, a 2-hit shutout. This is the best case scenario for the Marlins, and that is with a short bullpen to have Nicolino get through 7. Inside look, Dodger Stadium, 18 games, 21 driven in now. Derek Lee, Miguel Cabrera, Jeff Conine, Cliff Floyd, some great Marlin names on that list. And here is Stanton. He did not have the face mask on for the lefty Kazmir, but with Pedro Baez on the mound, Stanton's changed his helmet and ready to go in the 8th. And Baez misses down low. He takes over for Adam Liberatore. Scott Kazmir, Robert Plant's favorite starter, went 6 innings, 7 hits, 2 runs. And Baez misses away. So this is interesting. Mattingly and Nicolino, 6 pitches the last inning on the 7th. Is that enough to buy him the 8th? It looks like it. There were no real handshakes or, attaboys. 94 pitches for Nicolino. Really hasn't had a stressful inning.
He's had 14 pitches in the last 2 innings. 8 pitches in the 6th, 6 in the 7th. I'm impressed. Great outing so far. Hope he goes back out there.
The one thing it does, well, there's more than one thing it does. But one of the things it accomplishes is it keeps Crawford, Utley, and Peterson probably on the bench, at least until the 9th.
It's a very good point.
So you got A.J. Ellis, Trace Thompson, and the pitcher due up. Pitches down low, and Stanton walks. It's a nice walk for Stanton.
That's an amazing pitch sequence for him to throw him a 3-1 breaking ball to put him on. I just don't know. The game is changing in some ways, and that's one of them where instead of trying to throw a quality fastball, you're going to throw a 3-1 breaking ball
to a power hitter who's leading off the inning.
Exactly.
Now you have to qualify that with him leading off the inning. And here is Ozuna. Real Muto on deck. And a strike to Ozuna. Marcelo, RBI single, lined out, struck out. Stanton at first. Baez 0-1. Pedro Baez has pitched well for the Dodgers. His whip, walks and hits per innings pitch below 1. It's .84. Opposing hitters just a 138 average. Ozuna smokes one into center, and it carries all the way out to Trace Thompson.
That's a great swing. He's got nothing to show for it.
Catcher number 11.
Ozuna's got to be feeling so much better about the at-bats he's having lately. Base hit earlier in the game, hit the line drive to center. His second at-bat to Kike Hernandez just happened to be playing so far over the snag. And then that's 3 out of 4 quality at-bats for Ozuna tonight. Barry Bonds has got to be happy with that.
How much of that were the walks? I mean, for Ozuna, it was a walk fest. 2 walks each in consecutive games. He'd never had that happen in his career.
it helps you zero back in. It helps you pick out the pitches that you want to swing at as opposed to chasing the bad stuff. You can't hit bad pitches well. There's only one guy that I've ever seen that hit bad pitches hard, and that's Vladimir Guerrero. And that's one out of however many thousand guys that ever play this game. Most guys need to get good pitches to get good results.
JT Realmuto has had good results. 1 for 3 here. A 4-game hit streak. 8 for his last 14. He pulls one foul. Justin Bour is on deck.
You might think this is crazy, but I actually saw in a spring training game Vladimir Guerrero hit a ball that bounced for a double.
I don't think you're crazy, because when I was in Seattle, saw a video of Ichiro doing the same in Japan. Guy threw a breaking ball in the dirt and it bounced, and Ichiro drilled it in the right for a hit. Backing up is Turner. Kendrick. Oh, he's out. I think good slide at second by Stanton. I think the Marlins are going to look at that at first base. The reaction from Realmuto was that he was safe. Stanton sliding at second.
I thought he had that beat.
And that's certainly as part of this play, you've got to look at Stanton slide too, and the Marlins are going to challenge it. So first, let's take a look at Stanton's slide. It's a good one, and it looks like he's clearly across the bag. Slide's good, right on the base, where you're supposed to be. And Realmuto beats it, so he's safe. The Marlins inning will stay alive, and Justin Bour will get an at-bat.
Seeing that big fella coming down there, bearing down on you at second base can cause some things to happen. Speed kills, but so do Mack trucks. They will make you change your mind about what's going on down there.
This should be a pretty easy process, right? I mean, although, you know, sometimes what happens is there are 2 sets of umpiring crews in the replay center. Sometimes they're on another game and they're watching another play, and they've got to hustle on over to the Dodgers-Marlins pod of monitors. So the Marlins win that challenge. As we told you a couple weeks ago, since the advent of replay and the challenge system, the Marlins are the best in the National League, and only the Yankees are better.
Pinch hitter, number 41, Justin Bour.
At successful challenges.
Pat Shine does a great job as video coordinator, checking the replays. He's had tremendous success, and he's very sharp, good at what he does.
So Justin Bour gets the at-bat. Realmuto is still at first. Dodgers shift. Just as Pinch-A-Penny arrives with Justin Bour. Baez has yet to give up a hit to a left-handed bat this year. He has struck out 5, and lefties are 0 for 8 against him. And so here is Bour. Bour got a start in game 1 and was 0 for 4.
And that's where he's been having trouble with the high fastball. And usually when you're getting beat with a high fastball, it's a result of not getting started quite on time. You're not tracking that pitch quite as well, and he already has that little hitch in his swing. He's just got to be conscious of getting it done early enough so that he can recognize the height of the baseball.
In the major leagues, if you chase a pitch, you will have to prove you're not going to chase a pitch before they stop throwing it to you.
One of the best hitting coaches I ever had told me, young man, you either need to learn how to hit it or learn how to take it. Because if you swing at it, you're going to keep throwing it. That was Tom McCraw.
Well, let's see if the Dodgers try to climb the ladder again.
Yeah, no doubt about it.
We watch where Ellis sets up.
Looks like he was asking for a throw over right there.
Real Muto's not real aggressive with his lead. And that fastball was down a bit, and Bohr got a piece of it. But he wanted it up.
Yeah, they're going to stay right there. I don't see them changing anything. Yep, get it up there.
Baez at 96 is where he's topped out. And that was a pitch, a hittable pitch. Although it, you know, look, 97 miles an hour, a more hittable pitch than the others that were really up. It's hard to say a 97 mile an hour fastball is hittable.
Yeah, but you're right. The 96 up around letter high appears faster than 97 thigh high.
Changeup, oh, good one. 88 miles an hour, and he strikes out Justin Bohr. Justin Nicolino, a 2-hit shutout, and he's coming out to pitch the 8th in Los Angeles. This 4-game set. Jose Fernandez for the Fish, Kenta Maeda for the Dodgers. And look at the season that Maeda has had. He's given up just 1 earned run in the 25 1/3. And they pitch tomorrow night right here on Fox Sports Florida. 9:30 start for Marlins Live tomorrow night, and then it's on to Milwaukee. Tonight, the Marlins have a chance to clinch a series win. Miguel Rojas comes in at first base. And Justin Nicolino continues on. And he faces A.J. Ellis, Trace Thompson, and then the pitcher spot. He's thrown just 14 pitches his last 2 innings. And he misses away. A ball and a strike. Nicolino, 2 walks, 2 strikeouts. And you see he's right at 97 pitches. We noted that the Dodger bench is heavy, thick, with left-handed bats. Crawford, Utley, Peterson, and a switch hitter, Yasmani Grandal. And it looks like by staying with Nicolino, as they look at the charts, at least for the 8th inning, you've kept those bats on the bench. And another great pitch. Bad contact again, and a 4-3 in the books. And Nicolino has the first out of the 8th inning.
Center fielder, number 21, Trace Thompson.
Fish Family is the official loyalty program of Marlins baseball. And the code tonight, Marlins Mania. Go to marlins.com/fishfamily. That's it. Don Mattingly is coming out. And Justin Nicolino gets A.J. Ellis. The first out here in the 8th. Nicolino on his way out. West Kendall Toyota called to the bullpen. Terrific debut for Nicolino in 2016.
Coming in to pitch for the Marlins, number 57, Brian Morris.
Is done tonight, and there's the line score. Just 2 hits, 2 walks, 2 strikeouts, and there really weren't many hard hit balls that were outs. Jose, Tim Wallach, and all the starting pitchers. That's terrific stuff. Even Ichiro in the hug line. So, here's Brian Morris. Now, Marlins bullpen, 3 consecutive nights for Kyle Barraclough and A.J. Ramos. Chase Utley will hit for Thompson. And Morris misses down low with a 95-mile-an-hour fastball. And the aging Utley off to a pretty good start in 19 games. Utley, who famously in his career and with great success stands right on the plate. His arms and hands at times hang right out over the plate. And Morris misses in. And obviously the last thing you want to do with a 2-run lead is issue a free pass and bring the tying run to the plate. Morris trying to find his rhythm. Yasmani Grandal is on deck. And then you'll probably get another pinch hitter, another lefty bat after that. He lost him on 4 pitches.
Utley draws a walk, but Morris is drawing the ire of his manager when you come in on 4 straight balls. Walk the first batter you face out of the pen.
Cody Ege is the lefty. David Phelps, the right-hander. The Marlins, if they could map it out right now, Phelps would probably pitch the 9th. Unless Ramos has convinced his pitching coach and his manager that he can go 4 days in a row, I don't think the Marlins want to go in that direction. It's a great problem to have, right? Your closers work 3 days in a row, and he's saved 3 games.
That's a great problem to have, and even if it's even better if he wants to have the ball on that 4th day, but you have to pull back and say, it's still April. And why put yourself in that situation this early in the season where to potentially do damage to a guy who's such a vital part of your bullpen?
All right, well, Don Mattingly, I think, is going to mix and match. Now that Grandal has been announced, he is a switch hitter. And they want to see Grandal swing from the right side of the plate. And so Ege's coming in a West Kendall Toyota call to the pen. Rookie Cody Ege will come in to make just his 3rd appearance in the big leagues, 4 minor league seasons. The former Louisville Cardinal closer arrives here, and Ege will make appearance number 3. Appeared twice in that Giant series, gave up a run his first appearance, pitched a 1/3 of an inning, a scoreless effort in his 2nd. So Ege, who came over in the Sam Dyson trade from the Rangers, along with Tomas Talis, Iowa native, and Grandal flips over. Now last year, Grandal was just .221 against lefties, .308 against righties. So Don Mattingly knows him better than just about anybody in the ballpark. And he wants Ege to pitch to Grandal. And he misses out with a fastball. Phelps is ready. And so there's a possibility that if Ege were to get Grandal, or even if he doesn't, that Phelps would come in and the Marlins would hope to ride him to the finish line. Ege goes over. And Utley turning to the first base umpire, Bill Miller, and inquiring about a balk. Counts 2-0. And he misses away. And so it's 3-0, and Nicolino, who threw 7 to the third, didn't give up a run and had just 2 hits. Watches, and Iggy throws a strike. Utley's at first. 3-1 pitch coming to Grandal. And again, Iggy goes over there. The 3-1 pitch is in. He lost him. Well, now you've got Phelps ready. Kike Hernandez is up. Kike Hernandez has had great success against lefties, so I don't think Iggy's going to face him. And if Phelps comes in, I don't think Phelps is going to face Kike. Dave Roberts with his lineup sheet in hand watches, and we'll see what the Marlins do here. They're going to make a double switch. Ichiro is coming in the game, and I think he's going to come into center field. So Phelps arrives in need of outs. West Kendall Toyota called to the bullpen. Ichiro will go into the 9 spot. David Phelps is into the game. And Phelps will take over. The pitcher for the Marlins now hits in the 5 position. Rich Waltz on with Preston Wilson and Jessica Blaylock. And Preston, you know, a manager makes his choices. The problem for the Fish is that both relievers, Brian Morris and Cody Iggy, could not throw strikes. They walked each batter that they faced. This was Sunday for Phelps. Bags loaded, nobody out. Got a double play and then a strikeout of Joe Panic. And the Marlins went on to beat the Giants. They're not loaded here, but there's 1 out. And the Marlins are trying to protect a 2-0 lead. As expected, it's not Kike Hernandez Now it's Jock Peterson.
So far, the Marlins relievers tonight have thrown 9 pitches. 8 of them have been balls. Phelps is looking to turn that around right now and in a hurry.
Infield looks for 2. Peterson has power. Fastball up. Phelps got a much-needed night off in last night's ball game, but Kyle Barraclough worked for the 3rd consecutive night. A.J. Ramos worked for the 3rd consecutive night. And we'll see if either is available in the 9th or if it's Phelps that will be asked to go for a 5-out save. But you never know. The strike. Phelps has earned the right to pitch in the 8th inning in the bullpen. It's only 3 weeks into this season, but he's worked his way from middle relief to not quite the end of the bullpen, but the stop right before the end of the bullpen, the 8th inning. Real Buto now to talk to Phelps. The inning started with A.J. Ellis bouncing out, and that was the last hitter that Justin Nicolino faced. 99 pitches, 7 1/3, 2 hits, no runs. Brian Morris came in and walked Utley. Peterson swings and misses. And
Boy,
it's
did
1
he
and
ever.
2.
Did he ever swing? Good mercy. That's letting it eat right there. Good moving fastball on outside part. And I don't think he was just trying to go for a single right there, Rich.
No, he was trying to lift. Peterson did not have a great second half after making the All-Star team with a big first half last year. Yasiel Puig is on deck. Nicolino feeling the tension, hoping his bullpen can get some outs. Great block by Real Muto. A tough one because the bounce was up around his shoulders.
The catchers are asked to sacrifice the body a lot, and this is one of those plays that the whole team appreciates, because if he doesn't block this ball, now you got runners on 2nd and 3rd, but 1 out, and a fly ball can score a run, and a base hit can score 2.
Yeah, Utley's the lead runner at 2nd. It's Grandal who's behind him at 1st. And a 2-2 to Peterson, who calls timeout. That was an odd exchange. The home plate umpire called time, and then Todd Titchener jumped behind the catcher as the pitch came. Maybe he was trying to protect himself.
Smart man.
Now Phelps will try to collect himself. We talk about that fastball that he starts on the left-handed hitter's right hip. The 2-2. That was it. Oh, and he just missed. Or did he? He did. He started on the hip. It came back, but not far enough.
That's definitely such a field pitch. It's one of those pitches that they use finger pressure to get that right rotation, to get the ball to tail back. Maddox was the master of it. Javi Vasquez was great at it. Phelps has got a good one working right now.
Full count. 1 out. David Phelps trying to preserve the lead for the Marlins and Justin Nicolino. Oh, man, Phelps wants to know. And he's been thrown out of the game.
Oh, wow.
Phelps has been thrown out of the game. Don Mattingly can't believe it.
All he said was, "I'm just asking." That's all he said. That was a really big overreaction for an umpire right there.
He wasn't arguing. He was asking him. And the whole Marlin infield right now can't believe it. This is enormous. Todd Tichenor has thrown David Phelps out of the game. And now Mattingly isn't leaving, and he's been tossed.
That's a bad call by an umpire, and I know it's not an easy job back there, but players should be able to ask you a question and without you getting all in your feelings and throwing a guy out of the game because you feel like, oh, he's showing you up. No, he can ask you if that ball's inside. He has that right to voice it.
All right, let's see where the pitch is on Fox Tracks. Very similar to the one that he missed on, and that one misses as well. And let's see Phelps' reaction. So we've determined that the ball is inside. It's the correct call from Tichenor. And here is Phelps. Was that in?
I'm just asking. Is that in? Is that in? That's what he's saying. I mean, then the verbiage got a little different after that, but you can't throw a guy out for asking if it's in. This is a high-pressure situation. You have to be able to have some emotion. The umpire has to have the calm and wherewithal about him to be able to calm the situation without ejecting somebody. That's way too quick of a hook right there.
All right, it stings even more because of the Marlins bullpen situation, with Barraclough working 3 consecutive, with Ramos working 3 consecutive. Here's again the look. The pitch is in. Phelps asking, I'm just asking. You could almost read his lips. And he was tossed from the game. And Mattingly was there quickly. He got tossed. So the Marlins have to pick through the wreckage of this and find an arm, and it's Jose Urena with the bags loaded and 1 out, a West Kendall Toyota called to the pen. In the game for Miami, David Phelps and Don Mattingly ejected. Phelps, for what I guess Todd Tichenor felt was arguing balls and strikes. It felt like and looked like, and we'll try to get confirmation on this, that he was emphatically asking where it missed, but that was enough for an ejection for Tichenor, and Don Mattingly was ejected as well. So, bags are loaded. Jose Urena has as much time as he wants to warm up. Bases filled with Dodgers. Utley, who was walked by Morris. Grandal, who was walked by Iggy. And Peterson, who was walked by Phelps. And so here's Puig. He's the 5th hitter for the Dodgers in the inning. And this is the 5th pitcher in the inning, 5th different pitcher for the Marlins. So it's Puig against Urena. 3 relievers, 3 walks. Meanwhile, Justin Nicolino sits on the rail and has watched his masterpiece start to unravel.
Can you imagine what he's feeling right now, what he's thinking? He has got to be so on edge, just trying to hope that his team can hold on to this for him right now.
And it hasn't come apart. Puig swings and misses. Urena runs it up at 94, and the count is 0-1. You've got Puig and Adrian Gonzalez. And a Dodger at every base. 1 out. Puig, a ground ball, foul. And Urena's out in front, 0-2. Well, Preston Wilson, if you are JT Realmuto, what fingers do you put down?
You either got to go with a high fastball right here. You got him in a vulnerable count. Puig will swing at the high fastball, or you go with that split finger in the dirt that Urena throws.
0-2. A diving fastball at 96.
I know I said it's more of a changeup, but he throws that nasty changeup, split-like pitch in the dirt. I like the high fastball. I don't like a low fastball with Puig right here. Get it up above his hands. Get yourself a pop-up, maybe even a strikeout.
1-2. And he got him with a changeup. 2 down here in the 8th.
Wasn't in the dirt, but it was nasty. That change of speed. Puig is a fastball hitter. Urena's got a good changeup. Like I said, it dives like a split. Right pitch, right time, right result.
So Nicolino still on the rail, still hanging in there, still on edge. Gonzalez. And Urena misses out.
This young man's throwing hard tonight. That was 95.
Gonzalez has struck out 18 times. That's second most on the Dodgers. The ball and a strike. Of course, he's also homered 3 times and doubled 4 times and driven in 15 runs. So Urena, a ball and a strike, and Nicolino agonizes. To right, Stanton is there, and he has it, and the Marlins get out of it. And Justin Nicolino with a sigh of relief. Not done yet, but that's a big hurdle to get over. 2-0 Miami. to watch. 4 different relievers after he got the first out of the 8th, that wild ejection of David Phelps. And then Jose Urena, who strikes out Yasiel Puig on a devastating changeup and gets Adrian Gonzalez to hit a fly ball out to Stanton in right.
Urena to come out of the pen cold, have to warm up in front of everybody, doesn't get to do his warm-up pitches in the bullpen, to come in and get Adrian Gonzalez for the final out of that inning.
Joe Blanton out of the Dodger bullpen. There's still a 2-0 Miami lead. Echeverria to lead it off. Then you got Ichiro in the 9 spot. And Blanton throws a strike. Echeverria's 0 for 3. A ball and a strike. Blanton, the former Athletic, former Philly, has found a role in the Dodger bullpen. And it's 2-1. There's Ichiro. This was a battle of lefties to start with. Scott Kazmir and Justin Nicolino. Kazmir gave up 2 first-inning runs, and that's it. Nicolino didn't give up anything except the ball after he got the first out of the 8th inning at 99 pitches. Marlins bullpen shorthanded tonight, it appears. The 2-2. Out into center. Thompson is there, and he makes the catch.
I'm telling you, Rich, Echeverria's close. Line driver's last at bat last night, had some good swings tonight. He's getting closer.
Fielder number 51.
Tim Wallach running the game. Don Mattingly ejected. D. Gordon talking to Wallach. And here is Ichiro, who added to his hit totals with a hit last night. He's got the outfield swung towards left center. He takes a fastball for a strike. That hit tied him with Frank Robinson for 33rd on the all-time list. 2,943. Of course, he had almost 1,300 hits in Japan. Ichiro lines at center field. Thompson comes on, and he makes a running catch. And there's 2 outs, and here comes D. Gordon.
Second baseman number 9, D. Gordon.
A.J. Ramos is standing and not throwing, and that's significant. The question was, would Ramos be available, working on 3 consecutive nights? For now, the answer seems to be no. And maybe the Marlins like what they saw from Urena and said, you know what, he looks good. Let's try to finish with Urena. The guy they wanted to have in reserve for the 9th, David Phelps, has been ejected. And here is Gordon. And just to clarify, that was Jock Peterson in center who made that catch. The Dodgers defense has shifted around after all the pinch hitters in the 8th. Howie Kendrick now in left. Chase Utley now at second. Yasmani Grandal is behind the plate. And, of course, Blanton is on the mound. Gordon swings and misses and strikes out. And the Marlins are done in the 9th. All right, Jose Urena. You've got Turner, Seager, and Kendrick coming up. Baseball on Fox Sports Florida is brought to you by Southwest Airlines. Transparency, low fares, nothing to hide. By Jeep, visit Jeep.com to learn more. And by your South Florida Honda dealers. In a noisy Dodger Stadium, the Marlins are hanging to a 2-0 lead. And in the bottom of the ninth, Jose Urena is bidding for his first save in the big leagues. And his first save in professional baseball since Greensboro in the South Atlantic League in 2012. He got 2 enormous outs to finish the 8th. Justin Nicolino is still on the rail after going 7 1/3 of 2-hit shutout ball. Justin Turner against Urena. Fastball, that's a strike. And the count is 0-1. Turner singled his last time up. The Dodgers still have only 2 hits. In that messy 8th inning, it was 3 walks from 3 different relievers.
That was amazing.
The last of which prompted the ejection of David Phelps, who, from our vantage point and from watching the replays, seemed to be asking, although emphatically asking, where his 3-2 pitch missed.
So there were 5 different pitches to appear in that inning?
Yes, 5 different pitchers.
That did not result in a run scored.
Against 6 different hitters.
That may be a record, Rich. I don't know if that's ever happened before.
I mean, Nicolino got an out, and then Morris, Iggy, and Phelps all walked a hitter, and then Urena got 2 guys out. That's a swing, and it counts 1-2 to Turner.
Urena's popping the mitt. You could hear that glove from all the way up here.
You know, I asked Don Mattingly before the ball game about his bullpen, and he said probably stay away from Ramos, probably stay away from Bearclaw, and if we have to close, Phelps would be the guy. But as this inning, or this ball game, got to the 8th inning, it really sped up. The inability of Morris to throw strikes in the Utley at bat, and then Iggy's walk, and then he had to go to Phelps at that point.
Those hurt. Oh, that's a foul ball right from the bat off your leg. Oh. Watch this thing, and he's throwing hard, so it's going to come off the bat hard. Straight from the bat off your shin.
Two coming.
Ooh.
97 with a fastball.
That's a strike. That's right at the top of the strike zone.
It is. Turner kind of dove at the plate. And so the count is full, 3-2. Fastball, ground ball. Echeverria at short. 1 down in the 9th. Well, the Marlins walked in here on Monday night. The Dodgers, and they still are, were probably a little more comfortable in first place on Monday. They were 12-7. The Marlins had dropped 2 of 3 in San Francisco, though they did win on Sunday. The Fish were at 6-11. A 3-2 win on Monday, a 6-3 win last night, and a chance here to win this one. Seager fouls it off and pull within 2 games of 500.
Did not the venerable Vin Scully say the last time they won a series here was 2010 or something like
2010, the last time the Marlins won a series here. And yes, Vin said it, kicked, Prado got it and gets the out. He didn't panic, he found the ball, and there's 2 outs here in the 9th.
I'm glad one of us didn't panic, because my heart dropped when I saw that ball hit the ground right there.
And it just clipped the right foot of Prado, or else it would have rolled a little further away. Urena, he's fired up. This could be his first big league save. And he goes after Howie Kendrick, who is 0 for 3. He pours in a 96-mile-an-hour fastball.
Yeah, if you're Howie Kendrick and you're struggling the way he is with the bat, hitting 146 on the season right now. This guy throwing 96 is not the kind of guy you want to face because he's got movement and a good changeup.
0-2.
And also, when you're struggling like this, it seems like as soon as you step in the box, it's 0-2 every time.
Justin Nicolino got one out in the 7th. And it's Jose Urena who got the other 2. And his 0-2 is fouled off. And now he's trying to get the last 5 outs, pick up the save, and deliver Miami's 4th straight win. Oh, and Urena starts to head to the dugout.
That's a good pitch.
Just don't ask where it missed.
Yeah, don't ask him. Maybe a little outside, but that's a close pitch.
Yeah, it just missed.
Todd Titchener is a testy Todd Titchener.
1-2. And Urena just keeps pouring in strikes.
Which I like. If a guy can't handle your fastball and he's struggling, don't give him a chance to catch up to it by possibly hanging something soft. If it's going to be that changeup, it's got to be down in the dirt. Don't try to throw it for a strike.
Carl Crawford is on deck. 1-2. Another good fastball. And at this point, you're better off with it, especially with, as you pointed out, a 2-run lead. Kendrick has not homered. In fact, all of his hits this year, only 7 of them have been singles.
Go hard in right here. That's where I'd want him to go. Looks like they're going to try to go soft, though.
Got him. It pops out of Real Muto's glove. It goes to the screen. Real Muto's throw is in time. Nothing comes easy tonight. Ball game. And the Marlins win it. Justin Nicolino had to wait and watch and agonize for 45 minutes after coming out, and the Marlins piece it together. Jose Urena is terrific. His first big league save. Nicolino's first start of 2016 in the big leagues. And Miami has won 4 in a row, including 3 straight here against the first place Dodgers.
Miami Marlins, 2 runs on 8
A 5-out save, no problem for Jose Urena.
This is definitely a win of the white knuckle variety. Great start by Nicolino. Bullpen had its struggles tonight, has been great so far this series. Tonight was not one of those nights, but the young man, Jose Urena, what can you say?
How about the stretch by Miguel Rojas at first base on that play as